Oh. Yes. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Sure. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
90 seconds.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Welcome into Good Day Lubbock on this Wednesday morning. I'm James Epler.
And good morning to you. I'm Kristen Carroll. Just ahead this morning, some developing news: a deadly shooting in the mall parking lot. The initial details, including the age of this young victim.
More than half a dozen people out of their homes after this fire. How investigators think it started and the help available for those displaced.
In less than 1 month till the big switch, LPNL heading over to ERCOT. Why not everyone making that transition, and how you can find out right now if you are one of them.
And it's Cinco de Mayo. We'll look at the history and the misconceptions about this day later in Trending Stories. But first, let's check in with Bobby.
Well, we had cloud cover to start off the morning yesterday. This morning, we are starting with sunshine. It is 46 at the Lubbock International Airport. East-southeast wind at 6 miles per hour. Wind speeds will be picking up as we're going through today. A bit of a breezy day, but nothing too extreme. About 12 to 20 miles per hour. That sunshine is expected to continue, and temperatures warming up from those 60s and 70s of yesterday to a high nearing 82. We'll be closing into 70 by lunchtime, and the southerly wind continues this evening, still about 10 to 18 miles per hour. We will have a weak front in the area pushing through the area for tonight. Low temperature only in 51, and looking for tomorrow again, a weak front. Temperatures only likely to drop a degree or two, and we'll continue with that sunshine. We'll talk about a chance for some storms on Friday and how hot it will get this weekend, coming up in about 12 minutes.
We'll begin this morning with some developing news. Police report a teenager got shot and killed last night in the mall parking lot.
This was later in the evening near the Carnival area. When police got there, an 18-year-old was seriously hurt. He was taken to UMC for treatment, but didn't make it. Investigators haven't released his name yet or said anything about the shooter, whether they know who it is or if any arrests have been made. Police have promised more details later this morning. More than half a dozen people displaced after this dumpster fire spread to the Lubbock Lakeway apartments last night. Investigators say a mattress close to the dumpster caught fire. Flames spread to the fence and then to the structure. Crews say it burned out quickly. 4 units were damaged, displacing 6 adults and 2 children. The Red Cross is helping some of those who had to leave their homes. We're now less than 1 month away from joining ERCOT this Memorial Day weekend, but when the switch is flipped, only about 3/4 of customers will transition.
Our Blair Sable explains why and how to find out if you're affected.
If you want to find out if you're one of 83,000 LPNL customers that will be moving over to the ERCOT grid, all you need is a recent utility bill statement from LPNL. I have a sample one right here, and highlighted in red, this is your meter number. That is going to be an 8-digit number. You'll want to plug all of that into a tool that's on the front page of the LPNL website at lpnl.com.
it will populate a result that will tell you whether or not you're going to be affected on Memorial Day, and then tell you if you're affected on Saturday or Sunday and give you a 4-hour time window.
Starting Saturday, May 29th, crews will begin switching over substation by substation. Matt Rose with Lubbock Power and Light says they expect short outages of approximately half an hour that weekend.
The process of switching customers over is basically like unplugging from one outlet and plugging into the other in very simple terms. It's not something that you can do simultaneously. It's something that requires a break to hook onto the other system.
30% of customers will remain on the Southwest Power Pool system for now. But Rose says after June 1st, customers shouldn't notice a difference.
Every single customer is going to be treated the same regardless of which wires you are on. You're going to have the same rate. Same linemen are going to be working on your line, same engineers are going to be designing substations.
There could be service differences if a large-scale event like this past winter's historic storm does occur, but Rose says that's highly unlikely. He says he has faith that the state legislature will pass regulation bills to make ERCOT a more reliable system.
In an odd sort of a way, it can be a blessing that if all of these major issues can be addressed before we enter the market, so that we enter into a point where it is a stronger, more resilient market and grid, I think it's going to be beneficial for all customers.
One of the main deciding factors in joining ERCOT was to bring back competitive rates to LP&L customers, but Rose says we can't expect that until at least 100% have been moved over to the new grid. Blair Sable, Good Day Lubbock.
The TSA announced it's extending face mask requirements. Those regulations will remain in place until September 18th. It's an extension of a presidential order requiring travelers and the general public to wear masks when using public modes of transportation, and that includes air travel to and from Preston Smith International Airport and city bus vehicles. Travelers are required to wear masks at airports and on aircrafts. The mask requirement also covers city bus charters for private events, passengers age 2 and younger, and those with a medical exemption are of course exempt. The FAA reporting a big spike in complaints about disruptive airline passengers in these last 3 months. Gotten about 1,300 reports of unruly passengers since February. The reports include mask non-compliance and passengers disturbing others, even assaulting flight crews and drinking their own alcohol on planes. The agency has started the process of fining passengers.
Well, there's more help now available for restaurants that managed to stay open through 2020 through the U.S. Small Business Administration. The SBA's new Restaurant Revitalization Fund will pay out for lost revenue during the pandemic. It compares 2020 revenues to those from the year before and bridges the gap. Qualifying businesses include restaurants, bakeries, and breweries. For the first 3 weeks, the SBA is prioritizing owners who are women, veterans, or those who are historically disadvantaged. And here's what you're going to need.
You need a 2019 tax return. You'll want profit and loss statements for 2020 at least. If you have a 2020 tax return, that's even better. But they'll want that kind of baseline. Okay, what did you do in 2020 compared to 2019?
There's an important caveat to this deal. If a business receives funding through the Paycheck Protection Program, that will get deducted from any grant money that you get through the fund. We have a link to the application on our website.
While the city's Community Development Department is still accepting applications for emergency rent assistance, it's also looking ahead. The department's received recommendations from HUD to focus on recovery and stabilization. The department wants to work to make sure housing stays affordable. Even though building costs rose during the pandemic, HUD is suggesting a focus on infrastructure in case of another pandemic.
Facilities that you can be congregated living, like a shelter or things like that. It could be where they can be social distancing and being able to respond and be prepared for another type of pandemic like this.
Community Development is accepting applications for emergency rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. Money is there. We have the link to the application at fox34.com.
A juvenile's in custody after leading police on a chase. This started just before noon near 60th and Avenue P. Deputies tried to stop the suspect in a white Chevrolet Impala, but they say the driver took off. The chase ended when the suspect's vehicle crashed into a pole in the alley between 42nd and 43rd. This is near Avenue D. A juvenile was the only person in the car. He was taken to the Lubbock County Juvenile Justice Center. He has been charged with evading arrest, unlawful carrying of a weapon, and possession of marijuana. Grand jurors indicted a man from Lubbock for sexually assaulting a child in February. Deputies report Stephen Shellhammer attacked a 6-year-old girl. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison with the possibility for parole. And the woman who claimed to have killed her boyfriend by accident back in December, now indicted for manslaughter. 25-year-old Caitlin Earhart confessed to shooting 26-year-old Nathaniel Blodell, according to police. Court documents show Earhart told police she and Blodell were arguing about a recent breakup. She claims she took a gun away from him during the argument and fired it unintentionally. If convicted, she faces up to 20 years in prison.
A follow-up now on the train overpass collapse in Mexico City. Officials set up an improvised morgue near the site of Monday's disaster. Families and friends came to identify the victims. 24 lives lost and more than 70 others injured. A preliminary review suggests a failure in the horizontal support beams caused the overpass to collapse. They're expected to present a preliminary report Friday. Line 12 is Mexico City's longest and newest, but it's been plagued with problems since it began operating in 2012. More than 106 million people in the U.S. now fully inoculated against COVID-19, but the CDC data shows the pace of vaccinations slowing down.
And in spite of that, President Biden setting a new goal for shots by Independence Day.
All that. We're still vaccinating millions of Americans every day. Now, where do we go from here?
President Joe Biden wants to see 70% of adult Americans with at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine by July 4th. He's focusing on 3 areas to increase vaccination rates. First, vaccinating kids 12 to 15 years old, once there's an approved vaccine for them.
Not only do we want to get it done in time for school, we want to get it done in time so kids can really enjoy their summer activities without having to worry, without having to wear masks.
Now, vaccine advisors have scheduled an emergency meeting for next Wednesday as the FDA reviews the Pfizer vaccine for that age range. The second focus, making it easier to get vaccinated.
You want to do a modification of strategy,
which means getting away from mass vaccination sites.
And really putting in walk-in capabilities in 40,000 or so pharmacies throughout the country, getting mobile units going.
The third focus, overcoming vaccine hesitancy by getting the word out and changing the narrative.
I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Ambitious, for sure, but the White House says there's no plan B here.
It's a stretch goal, but it's an achievable goal.
It just needs to be easier.
I think we're going to be able to do it. I mean, it's a challenging goal, but I think it's a doable goal.
I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
Ohio State University launching a program for dropouts. The assistance that'll soon be available to some students.
And who cruise lines may keep off ships as they try to get back in business. That's in the Morning Business Report.
And we were 10 degrees below the seasonal high yesterday afternoon. Lubbock only made it to 70 degrees. We're talking about 80s and 90s in the forecast and another chance for some rain. We'll get into those details next on Good Day Lubbock.
You're watching Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock with James Epler, Kristen Carroll, and weather with meteorologist Bobby Johnston. All local, all morning. Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock. And now, your Fox 34 Weather Authority forecast with meteorologist Bobby Johnston.
Well, it's going to be a little bit warmer. We're getting through the next couple of days, but those 80s returning. It will get hot Saturday. Highs back in the 90s, but that won't last too long. We do look to drop right back down to the 70s and 80s as we get into the start of next week. There's a chance for a few storms in our area as we get into Friday. Not a good setup, but we will have a dry line to our west, so could have some late evening and nighttime storms for parts of the South Plains. Out there right now across the region, we're seeing temperatures in the 40s and 50s, 40s across the Panhandle, 50s for the rest of the state, 63 right now in Houston. And something else you notice is things are pretty quiet. Remember, yesterday we had the cold front, and that brought some severe weather down towards Austin and other parts of the southeast. Yesterday, a few light showers up into the northern Panhandle, going all the way into Oklahoma and southern Kansas. For today, along this cold front, there will be a chance for some isolated activity into the northeastern Panhandle in Oklahoma, but for the South Plains, we will stay sunny and dry. A few high clouds will be passing along. Things continue to stay pretty quiet into Thursday. Looking out west, there will be a chance for some storms into the desert Southwest, and this will bring in a little bit more cloud cover for us on Friday, but that dry line sets up late Friday afternoon. Likely going to see some developing storms out in New Mexico, and that will be pushing west into our area. So we have high temperatures in the 80s this afternoon, 85 for Millshoe, 82 in Lubbock, Post, and Rawls, 83 for Hobbs. And south-southwest wind is a little bit breezy this afternoon, up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour. Not too strong, but definitely noticeable out there. Now, you'll notice here comes the cold front as we're heading into the evening hours. That's going to bring a northerly wind momentarily. It will quickly return back to the southeast for tomorrow, and tomorrow's wind speeds will be dropping off. And even with that cold front, only dropping a few degrees. Then we start that warm up, mid and upper 80s returning Friday. Saturday will be into the 90s. Again, a slight chance for a few storms late Friday night. Breezy conditions through the weekend and into next week, with temperatures back down into the upper 70s and low 80s. James and Kristen.
Thank you so much, Bobby. If you're thinking of booking a summer cruise with your kids or grandkids, might want to hold off a bit.
And Ohio State University looking to bring back dropouts.
Kids might be banned from cruise ships when cruising restarts over the summer. That's expected to happen in July. That's because cruise lines are under pressure to restart operations out of U.S. ports with the mandate that almost all passengers be vaccinated, something that children under the age of 16 can't get. Well, the NASDAQ dropped almost 2%. It was the worst session since March as tech stocks sold off. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen talked about the possibility of higher interest rates. Rising rates could slow down the economy and prevent it from getting overheated. Well, the U.S. economy could leave $1 trillion on the table this decade because of a manufacturing worker shortage. According to a new study from Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute, manufacturers face a two-pronged employment problem. They're having trouble filling open jobs, yet many workers don't have the high-tech skills yet, but training programs could help. And Ohio State University has created a program to bring back dropouts to earn their degrees. Complete Ohio State supports students who return to the university after spending some time away. This does provide information and makes connections to academic advising and other resources. From New York, I'm Jane King with your Morning Business Report.
Scientists thought they knew everything they needed to know about this mummy, but they just made a shocking discovery about it that changed the whole story. Details on the way.
And are you brave enough to cross the world's largest pedestrian bridge?
Nope.
Dimensions of this thing, probably not me either. That's next in Trending Stories. It's 7:18.
Good Day Lubbock continues on Fox 34.
It is 7:20 now on this Wednesday morning, which is May 5th, and that's Cinco de Mayo. Some say it's actually a bigger deal here than it is even in Mexico. The U.S. Congress issued a proclamation in 2005 calling on Americans to observe this holiday. For a lot of us, that means having your favorite Mexican food or drinks. Now, it is not Mexico Independence Day. This is the anniversary of the Battle of Puebla, a military victory in 1862 over the French forces of Napoleon III. Mexico Independence Day is actually September 16th, marking when Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, a Catholic priest, issued a historic cry of Dolores calling for independence. Something I learned on Cinco de Mayo years ago was someone from our Telemundo staff told me that everybody thinks guacamole is just, you mash up some avocados and, some lemon or lime, call it good. She says, no, it needs to have tomatoes and onions in it because green, white, and red are the colors of the Mexico flag. So if it doesn't have those three things in it, you're just eating avocado paste.
Yeah.
So,
which I like just fine.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, scientists say this ancient Egyptian mummy, which was believed to be a male priest for about 100 years, has actually turned out to be a pregnant woman. A surprise discovery is the first of its kind anywhere in the world. Our researchers at the Warsaw Mummy Project have been studying Egyptian remains since 2015. Now, since about 1920, these remains were thought to be those of a priest because of specific markings on the sarcophagus. But the cutting-edge computer imaging that we have now revealed a tiny foot in the abdomen of the mummy that they didn't know was there. Other details like its delicate skeletal structure supported these new conclusions. So,
I mean, it's fascinating, but also deeply upsetting. It's just that's a sad story. All of a sudden, all of a sudden now it's a dead mother.
Thinking about a whole different story than what we thought it was before. And it's amazing to me how they do the mummy process, in Egypt to preserve the remains, but it actually keeps us from learning as much as we would sometimes from a skeleton, which you can tell easily if it's a male or female skeleton. So kind of interesting to me.
I don't know. I'd rather talk about Will Smith's dad bod. Maybe next, maybe next hour, because this is interesting, but it makes me sad. Yeah. Will Smith's dad bod makes me so happy. Here now is the longest pedestrian bridge in the world, about 1,700 feet. From one end to the other. This is in Portugal. It's more than 570 feet above a gorge with a river, and it wobbles as you cross it.
Sure it does.
Takes about 10 minutes to get across. The structure is built in the Tibetan style, held up by steel cables you can see, and 2 towers. Construction on this took about 3 years. And of course, there are stunning views of a waterfall and the gorge beneath, but I'm just not a thrill seeker, Kristen.
Now, my legs would do that shaking thing. I might not be able to get across it because I'd just be shaking so hard going. Because whenever I have to go up on my roof for some reason, which is not often, they do that up there. It's like this totally subconscious thing.
You fall in here twice a week. I don't want you up on your roof. You stay off your roof.
I have no business being anywhere where there's lights. No.
How about some celebrity birthdays? First up, Adele. How about 39?
That's going to be close. She's going to be close to our age. I'll say 38 then.
33?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I guess because her voice sounds so mature and so polished. Next up, Henry Cavill, of course, the latest Superman, at least in the movies anyway. I'll say he's, I really liked his Superman. I liked Man of Steel. I'll say he's 37.
I'm going to say 40 for him. I don't know why. Okay.
It's close. Right. And next up, every guy my age had a crush on Topanga Lawrence from Boy Meets World.
I walked into my very first boyfriend's room
Yeah.
at 16 years old.
Right.
First time I'm in his room. Every inch of the wall covered in posters of this girl.
Oh, yeah.
Not just one. Like, he even had like a bedspread and a mattress.
A bedspread?
Yes,
Okay.
and a mouse pad. I ran out of there screaming.
Okay, that dude has definitely got a lock of Danielle Fishel's hair in his room
it freaked
somewhere.
me out. It's like, why are you dating me?
Okay, having posters when you're a teenage boy. I mean, I had Shania Twain and I had Alicia Silverstone, among others.
Sure, okay.
But not Danielle Fishel. I never found a good one.
Oh, all right.
I'll say she's pretty close to our age, though. I'm actually going to go 40 on her.
Oh, okay. I'll say 39 then. You got it. All right.
That's my girl. We had a local birthday here. I want to say happy birthday to Yvette Nichols, and hope you have a wonderful day today. And if you're celebrating a birthday, you can send it to our Facebook page and include a photo. If you can, head over to Fox 34 News on Facebook. Send us a direct message. Bobby, what are we looking like across the country?
Well, it was an active day yesterday across the southeast. Multiple hail reports as well as some tornadoes down into Mississippi and Alabama. You'll notice that strong cold front continuing pushing east, where we still have some 60s along the east coast. Most of the Midwest in the 30s and 40s this morning, with another weaker front on the way. Now, with that weaker front, some showers developing from northern Oklahoma extending all the way into North Dakota. That heavier precipitation extending from New Orleans all the way into the Florida Panhandle and going up into the northeast. And that cold front, both fronts will continue pushing east as we're going through today. Not a whole lot of activity, but some severe storms down into the southeast can't be ruled out versus some light showers into the Midwest. And as you'll notice, temperatures staying cooler up north, highs in the 50s and 60s versus 80s and 90s to the southwest. James and Kristen.
I'm now suddenly worried a little bit about Danielle Fishel. Can someone check on her? I'm worried that Kristen's ex-boyfriend has her locked up in a basement or something.
He would have, yes. Scare me to death.
Put the lotion on its skin. So back into the news now. There is a double vaccine effort underway.
And getting shots approved for teens and convincing them to get them. Latest on that nationwide effort on both those fronts. But first.
Well, Facebook makes a big decision today, we think, about former President Trump's account and whether he'll get it back. I'm Doug Luzader in Washington. We'll have more on those considerations coming up.
Welcome into Good Day Lubbock on this Wednesday morning. I'm James Epler.
Good morning to you. I'm Kristen Carroll. Here's what's happening this morning. Facebook will decide today whether it will lift the ban on former President Trump's account. The factors weighing in on this decision.
A shooting last night in Lubbock that left one person dead, where it happened and the age of the young victim. But first, let's check in with Bobby.
What is a nice sunny morning for the South Plains. We're looking at temperatures across West Texas. Lots of 40s and 50s out there. Not too bad if you're just about to head outdoors. And a clear sky again and quiet conditions for our area. We have this southeasterly wind at the moment. It will be changing to the southwest today and picking up, but right now it's only about 5 to 10 miles per hour across West Texas. There is a cold front on the way. This will be a very weak cold front, and you'll notice some light precipitation to our north. That's up into the Amarillo area going into Oklahoma and Kansas. For us, we're going to be staying dry. We heat up from those 60s and 70s of yesterday to the lower 80s today, around the seasonal high for this time of year. We'll drop to 51 tonight, and that cold front moves through. And as you notice, we only dropped to 79 Thursday. We continue with that sunny sky both afternoons. We'll talk about a chance for some storms into Friday coming up in about 12 minutes.
We're beginning with some developing news. Police report a teenager got shot and killed last night in the mall parking lot.
And this happened later in the evening near the Carnival area. And when police got there, an 18-year-old was seriously injured. He was taken to UMC for treatment but didn't make it. Investigators haven't released his name yet or said anything about the shooter, whether they knew who it is or if any arrests have been made. Police have promised more details later this morning. And more than half a dozen people are displaced now after this dumpster fire spread to the Lubbock Lakeway apartments last night. Investigators say a mattress close to the dumpster caught fire. Flames then spread to the fence and then to the structure. Crews say it burned quickly. 4 units were damaged, displacing 6 adults and 2 children. The Red Cross is helping some of those who had to leave their homes.
We're less than a month away from joining ERCOT. It happens Memorial Day weekend, but when the switch is flipped, only 70% of LP&L customers will transition and 30% will remain on the Southwest Power Pool grid for now. LP&L is warning rate payers that are part of this switch, there will be some short outages of about half an hour.
The process of switching customers over is basically like unplugging from one outlet and plugging into the other in very simple terms. It's not something that you can do simultaneously. It's something that requires a break to hook onto the other system.
Now there's a tool on LP&L's website to check if your power source is changing. All you need is your meter number, and if you're part of the 70% making the switch, it will tell you a 4-hour window when you can expect that outage. While the city's community development department is still accepting applications for emergency rent assistance, it's also looking ahead. The department has received recommendations from HUD to focus on recovery and stabilization. The department wants to work to make sure housing stays affordable, even though building costs rose during the pandemic. HUD is suggesting a focus on infrastructure in case of another pandemic.
Facilities that you can be congregated living, like a shelter or things like that. It could be where they can be social distancing and being able to respond and be prepared for another type of pandemic like this.
Community Development is accepting applications for emergency rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. The money is there. We have a link to the application at fox34.com. Facebook will decide today whether to allow President Trump access to his account again.
He's been banned since the insurrection, but as Doug Luzader reports, he's not waiting for an answer.
We expect a decision from Facebook's advisory board later today, but former President Trump is now launching his own platform, and he's also dropping some big hints about another run for the White House. It was the attack on the Capitol back in January that pushed Facebook over the edge, they said, deciding to ban President Trump from the platform. But today we expect a Facebook advisory board to decide whether Trump should be allowed back. Many Republicans have accused social media giants like Facebook and Twitter of targeting conservatives.
Free speech in America now depends on the whims of a monopoly corporation.
I'm not a big fan of Facebook.
Many Democrats, too, have been critical of Facebook, accusing the company of allowing the spread of disinformation. Either way, though, the former president is determined to maintain a social media presence. He just launched a page on the Trump website called Desk, which allows users to post his thoughts to Facebook and Twitter. He told the Daily Wire it has its advantages.
I'm in a little bit different category because I put out a press release and it gets massive coverage. I put out press releases, a few a day, and I can make them actually more than the 220 or 240 or whatever it is characters.
Does that change what you do at all?
No. Go ahead.
The White House was dismissive of Trump's social media movements, but he is hinting at another run in 2024.
Oh, that's very interesting. It's very early, but I think people are going to be very, very happy when I make a certain announcement.
Now, if Facebook's advisory board rules in Trump's favor, he could have his account back within a week. In Washington, I'm Doug Luzader for Good Day Lubbock.
Derek Chauvin's asking for a new trial. Last month, the former Minneapolis police officer was convicted on 3 counts for the death of George Floyd. Yesterday, one of Chauvin's lawyers filed a motion for a new trial, citing several reasons, including that the verdict is, quote, contrary to law. All allegations of jury misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct, witness intimidation, and the impact of publicity. The lawyer also said the court abused its discretion in not granting a change of venue or sequestering the jury. No word when the judge will respond to the motion for a new trial. Chauvin is set to be sentenced next month. Tech baseball got out the big bats in Amarillo. How the Red Raiders got on top of the Sooners early in a blowout, coming up in Morning Sports.
Kids as young as 12 could soon be eligible for the COVID vaccine, where some preteens stand on the injections. In Fox 34 Your Health.
You're watching Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock with James Epler, Kristen Carroll, and weather with meteorologist Bobby Johnston. All local, all morning. Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock. And now, morning sports on Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock.
Well, Tech baseball hadn't played in Amarillo since 1979, and they gave them a show last night, taking on OU, a game postponed from 2 weeks ago for weather. Red Raiders got off to a red-hot start here. 4 home runs in the first 3 innings, and they just built that lead up 13-2 by the 5th inning on the way to a 14-4 blowout. Tech's undefeated in midweek games this season, and this is the first of 4 contests with the Sooners this season. The Red Raiders will square off with them again next week with a 3-game series in Norman. Red Raiders return home to gear up for a non-conference series with Illinois Chicago this weekend. Mark Adams makes another hire for his coaching staff. It's Talvin Hester. He is in his 20th year coaching. He's been at Houston, Oral Roberts, most recently 3 years at Louisiana Tech. Hester's a Texas guy and is expected to have a big impact on recruiting.
Well, if you're going to be outdoors for the Cinco de Mayo celebrations going on today, just know that it's going to be sunny, warm, and breezy. Make sure you wear some sunscreen and stay hydrated. We'll look at how much warmer it's going to get in the forecast coming up in about 5 minutes.
And now, Fox 34 Your Health with Kristen Carroll.
Well, a new segment of the population is about to get cleared for the COVID-19 vaccine, and health officials say they're ready to meet demands and have enough doses to keep up. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on which vaccine might soon be available to kids as young as 12.
As the CDC reports a growing number of COVID cases among younger people, more states are increasing resources to help teens get the vaccine.
One reason why we're expanding all the sites at our schools is so that, again, we have more places where children are already at for them to be able to easily get vaccinated.
For many kids, a complete vaccine card is a golden ticket to getting life back to normal.
Just to have a semi-normal graduation, even if we have to walk across the stage in masks, I really don't care.
This comes as the Associated Press reports the Food and Drug Administration is expected to approve the Pfizer vaccine for use in kids as young as 12 years old by next week. Currently, Pfizer is the only vaccine cleared for teenagers 16 and up. And for some parents, clearance of the vaccine for younger people can't come soon enough.
I would be very comfortable having him get the vaccine, and I'll sign him up as soon as I can.
But not everyone is on board with the shots.
I didn't really want to get it at first, but my mom wanted me to get it.
I just think it's unnecessary, and we don't know the long-term side effects, if any.
But Pfizer says the shots are safe and effective. And during its clinical studies, the pharmaceutical company found younger kids had similar side effects as adults, including mild flu-like symptoms and pain near the injection site.
I'm feeling pretty good. There's a little soreness in the arm. The shot didn't hurt as much.
Moderna has also been testing its vaccine on teens and is expected to release its findings in coming months. In New York, Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Full check of your forecast coming up next with Bobby, and why investors are slamming solar stocks. That's in the Ag and Energy report still to come. It's now 7:44.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you.
7:46, getting some good music this morning. Adele turning 33. I can't believe I'm actually older than she is, only by a couple of weeks. Now, for the South Plains, things are quite nice. We have lots of sunshine out there, 46 in the city, east-southeast wind at 6 miles per hour. Through today, we warm up. We'll be close to where we were yesterday by lunchtime. Lubbock's high yesterday of 70 degrees. We'll make it to around 82 this afternoon. South-southwesterly wind, a bit on the breezy side, but nothing too strong. Just a noticeable steady breeze up to around 12 to 20 miles per hour. As we're getting into the evening hours, it is going to be changing to the southeast. In fact, a weak cold front on the way, but that cold front will keep us dry and only drop temperatures a little bit for Thursday. There's a slight chance for some storms in our area later Friday. Not a good setup for any precipitation as we get through the weekend. As you'll also notice, we have a couple of systems providing a good setup for some rain into the southeast, also on the northeast coastline and into the Midwest. Now, this front will bring some showers likely into Oklahoma and maybe the northeastern panhandle, but really not much is expected. Ridge of high pressure will keep things on the warmer side going through this weekend. Hottest day does look to be Saturday, and then we're going to have this upper level system out to our northwest. A few disturbances pushing across this will keep things pretty interesting with our temperatures into next week. But again, we're going to be heating up with 90s possible Saturday. Cold front does drop us back down to just around the seasonal high for this time of year as we get into the start of next week. So we have that sunshine, breezy southwest wind through this afternoon, all of West Texas in the 80s. And again, a setup for maybe some activity up into the northeastern panhandle and Oklahoma. That's going to be later today and for tonight. We'll be dropping down into the 40s and 50s. And again, that cold front really not going to provide that big of a cool down. Most of West Texas still in the upper 70s. And low 80s. As we get into Mother's Day weekend, we'll see more sunshine and more wind on the way. James and Kristen.
Thank you for the reminder about Mother's Day weekend. I mean, I remembered, of course.
Of course you did.
But
You're
others.
such a good son.
Well, that and I have to remember my wife too, and we've got to make sure the boy gets something for mom.
Yeah.
Yep, got to do that. Well, farmers are more optimistic now as crop prices rise.
And solar stocks are getting slammed as supply chain bottlenecks hit renewables.
Investors fear that solar companies won't be able to keep pace with record demand due to supply chain issues. Solar Edge dragged the sector lower in the stock market on Tuesday after the company said rising freight costs will hit its profits. Semiconductors are key components for both battery storage and solar inverters. The shortage has hit the auto industry as well. Well, the Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer says farmers are becoming more optimistic about the future. The strength in commodity prices continues to drive expectations for strong financial performance. Now, possible changes in U.S. tax policy, though, are on the minds of ag producers. And oil has reached a 7-week high with demand revival gaining traction. Reopening efforts and vaccination pushes from the U.S. to Europe underpin hopes for a return to normal demand in the world's largest economies. U.S. crude futures are up more than 35% this year. And corn futures surge above $7 a bushel for the first time in more than 8 years as a lack of rainfall in Brazil added to supply concerns. Corn prices were already high on Chinese buying. The rally across the grain markets prompted major crop trader Bunge to raise its earnings outlook this year by as much as 25%. From New York, I'm Jane King with your Ag and Energy Report.
Lubbock is full of great songwriters.
How they can be part of a new album and get a nice payday too. That's next in Entertainment. It's 10 till 8.
And now, entertainment on Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock.
7:52 now on this Wednesday morning. Lubbock Music Now is taking submissions for its 2021 album. Now, this is an album produced every year to recognize current local musicians, the ones who are still living here. Now, in the interest of transparency, I want to tell you that I am the chair of the committee that heads this up. I'm very proud of this project. Civic Lubbock announced the call for entries at the Buddy Holly Center yesterday. Lubbock Music Now was developed by Civic Lubbock back in 2016 to honor and recognize the many songwriters and musicians living and performing in the area. Now, we've done 5 albums now. They're all available online and in some stores. Hannah Jackson's been on every single one of these and says it's gotten her attention from all over the world.
I had someone come to the Buddy Holly Museum and buy the record and then contact me from England to tell me that they were a big fan now. And also from New York City, just people that you wouldn't normally get to give your music to or maybe wouldn't hear it.
Artists and songwriters can submit their application through May 31st. Finalists are chosen by a group of current and former Texas Grammy Board members. And those who make it on the album get a $200 check from Civic Lubbock. For more details, a link to an application, check civiclubbock.org. And you can buy previous albums through Select-A-Seat. There's also Lubbock Music Now on your TV. You can watch performances from artists who were on the 2020 album Saturdays and Sundays on Fox 34 News Now. The times for the broadcasts listed there on your screen.